In Proverbs 8, we're looking at the idea of meet Miss Wisdom. Wisdom is personified as a lady in Proverbs 8. She is set in contradistinction to that strumpet of Proverbs 7, the one that is looking for the ones that come near her corner. Wisdom is described concerning her voice, her venue, her vision, her virtue, and her value, all in just the first 11 verses. And this is her conversation, what she has to say. In looking at wisdom and her conversation, we moved last week into her reputation, how she lives, what she loathes, what she likes, how she leads, and who she loves. Let's pick up at verse 17. We went beyond verse 17 last week, but we do want to hit on a few review concepts as we proceed forward. Wisdom says, I love them that love me, and they that seek me early shall find me. Having declared her integral aspect when it comes to leadership, by me kings rule and princes, all the nobles of the earth, I love them that love me. Those that appreciate what wisdom is are going to be benefited. Those that have an affection, desire, and commitment to wisdom are going to find wisdom recompensing and returning that affection and desire and commitment. It's interesting the way the words are formed, especially in the Hebrew, or as some of the best commentators describe it. Verse 18, riches and honor are with me, yea, durable riches and righteousness. This is not to say that wisdom simply possesses riches and honor as though she has obtained them. She's the source. Proverbs 3:16, in my right hand, in her right hand are length of days, but in her left hand is riches and honor. Well, the right hand is the right hand of power, and in the left hand, for most people, which hand do you use to write? Which hand do you use to do those things that require the most dexterity, coordination, strength? Right hand. In her weak hand are riches and honor. Well, connect that idea with Proverbs 8:18. Riches and honor are hers. She holds riches and honor with her weak hand because they're still her attributes. She's still the source of those ideas. Oh, and the end of verse 17, those that seek me early shall find me. Early to bed, early to rise, those tend to be colloquial descriptions of diligence. They that seek me early shall find me. The idea is those that seek me diligently shall find me. We've used this illustration before. Anyone who wants to have success in hunting typically hunts at what part of the day? Early. Those that really enjoy hunting enjoy a good morning hunt and a good afternoon hunt. But at the same time, the quintessential time to hunt, early to rise, those that seek early, well, in order to seek wisdom, there's a diligence involved. They that seek me early, those are the ones that are going to find me, those that seek diligently. Riches and honor are with me, durable riches and righteousness. Not only are riches and honor hers, not just a possession, but she's the source. Durable riches, the riches that really last, and righteousness. Especially when it comes to righteousness in this verse, and one of the things we noted was the number of times righteousness gets repeated in Proverbs 8 as wisdom describes her attributes. Wisdom herself is an attribute of God. Durable riches and righteousness are with her. This is not simply something that is possessed by her. She's the source of it. It goes together like a hand and a glove. Or like Forrest said, like peas and carrots. Righteousness and wisdom coexist. Where one is will be the other. Where one is not, the other will not be. And those that seek wisdom truly, sincerely, and fully will also seek and find righteousness. And as such, righteousness will become a part of them. It's not that wisdom simply gives righteousness in the sense of giving riches or giving honor. Those that seek wisdom and find wisdom are going to adopt righteousness. It's going to become who they are. The influence of wisdom will redefine their very character, behavior. Verse 19, my fruit is better than gold and fine gold, my revenue than choice silver. She's describing again the idea of her value. Of course, this brings us to the point where we're talking about her motivation. Why should we seek her? Well, because of the lasting riches, because she indeed leads to righteousness, and because she has that reward for all that seek her. She leads in that way of righteousness in the midst of the paths of judgment. Inherent in wisdom is not only righteousness, but fairness, judgment, equity. That I may cause those that love me. There's an idea of love again. It was mentioned in verse 17, I love them that love me. But here, I may cause those that love me to inherit substance. I will fill their treasures. Here's the concept of the reward. Here's the lasting riches coming to fruition. Verse 22. We recently studied John chapter 1. The gospel account of John begins with, in the beginning was the Word. The word translated word is the Greek word logos. There's a word that we get from that Greek idea that we use in our common language. Of course, the word itself is not commonly possessed in our day and age, but the word from which we get, the word we get from logos is the word logic. There's much more to the concept of logos, as John discussed it, than just logical, but logic is a part of it. Keep that thought in mind. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by Him. Without Him was not anything made that was made. The Logos, the prime mover, the one who's responsible for the doing of creation. Ultimately, that's talking about the second person of the Godhead, the one that was made flesh and dwelt among us, John 1:14. Take that idea of logic inherent in the behavior of the first person of the Godhead and come back to Proverbs 8. Proverbs 8 discusses wisdom as being a possession of God. Proverbs 8:22, the Lord possessed me in the beginning of His way. Well, we've just gone through so many of these things that wisdom possesses. Wisdom possesses riches and honor, durable riches, righteousness. Wisdom possesses prudence. Wisdom is the source of all these things, and God's the source of wisdom. The Lord possessed me. This does not mean that God obtained wisdom. God is wisdom. Wisdom is an attribute of God, as we described last week. The Lord possessed me in the beginning of His way before His works of old. God possessed wisdom before creation was creation. Verse 23. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was, before time, before the first second ticked, before the first concept of a duration existed. Outside of time is wisdom. Thus, wisdom is literally timeless. That's going to be one of the reasons why the wisdom conveyed in the book of Proverbs, while put in words that absolutely resonated and connected with the original audience some 3,000 years ago, are nonetheless applicable, true, and life-changing for us today, because wisdom is indeed timeless. not just timeless across the centuries and millennia, but timeless from everlasting, or ever the earth was. Now wisdom begins describing in verse 24 a more detailed, or you might say an addendum description of the first 3 days of creation. Putting it in simple terms, day 1, God made light. Day 2, God made the firmament, the clouds and skies of blue, as the children sing in the song. Day 3, there's the physical earth and the grass and flowers and trees. Listen to what wisdom describes. Verse 24, when there were no depths. Well, Genesis 1:1 says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The earth was without form and void. Darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Before there was a face of the waters, wisdom was there. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled. Genesis 1 describes God as bringing forth the earth out of the waters. Well, before He did that, wisdom was already there. In working through Proverbs 8:24 and following, please do not forget, in the beginning was the Word, Logos, the second person of the Godhead. Inherent in Him is logic, and He's also deity. All things were made by Him. Without Him was not anything made that was made. In looking at this particular passage, some have viewed wisdom as Solomon's equating wisdom with the second person of the Godhead. I don't know that that's the case. Solomon, whether he had a clue of the second person of the Godhead as he penned this by inspiration or not, inspiration through Solomon's pen is describing wisdom as the tool, quality, characteristic of the second person of the Godhead. It's been said Solomon was the wisest one ever to live. Yeah, right up until the birth of Christ. The wisest one ever to live was named Jesus. He was the wisest one ever to live, and he exercised wisdom before life on earth was a reality. So taking that thought and moving forward, Proverbs 8:26, when He not made the earth, nor the fields, and the grass that would by extension grow in them, nor the highest part of the dust of the world, when He had not made the land, the low fields, nor the high parts of the mountains, when He prepared the heavens, there I was. When He set a compass upon the face of the depth, here is wisdom in creation. Her operation, her work, her involvement. In creation, God's wisdom brought the world into existence. And not only did God's wisdom bring the world into existence, every aspect of what is described in Proverbs 8:26 through 30 predates our first ancestor. Thus, everything described in Proverbs 8:26 through 30, early before that, is preliminary, preparatory for man's existence. Wisdom built the house so that man could live in it. Wisdom formed the world so that man could actually exist in it. Verse 27, when He prepared the heavens, I was there. When He set a compass upon the face of the depth, putting things in order. The firmament, the depth, separating the land. When He established the clouds above. When He strengthened the fountains of the deep. When He gave to the sea His decree that the water should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him, as one brought up with him. Literally, I was by him as a master workman. I was his tool. I was what he exercised. I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him. Please don't miss that. When deity, when God, when the second person of the Godhead exercised wisdom, and exercise wisdom in this physical realm, he delighted to do it. Wisdom didn't hurt. I was daily his delight, rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, rejoicing always before him. Wisdom is connected to God's joy. Now let's think about something else for just a moment. We take the wisdom logic idea and let it run parallel with John 1 and what's said about the second person of the Godhead and his role in creation. And we take this joy idea and the fact that God exercised wisdom and experienced joy as he beheld and brought about the product of wisdom. Wisdom didn't hurt. There's something else that he would later do to bring about life, to accomplish joy. And it would hurt. And it was the second person of the Godhead that would do it. Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. Seeing we are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that was set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. The one who started it, the one who completed it, just like he did creation. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy, for the joy that was set before him, he didn't just say, let there be redemption. For the joy that was set before him, he did not say, let there be a firmament in the heavens. For the joy that was set before him, he didn't just say, let there be. Creation was a delight. But for the sake of joy, the second person of the Godhead was willing to hurt to save the pinnacle of creation. Every day in that first week, at the end of the day, so to speak, God saw that it was, Genesis 1:31, after he created man and woman, God saw that it was very good. That was his joy. Wisdom describes every achievement and accomplishment of creation as God's delight. But there was a greater joy for which he was willing to hurt. And it was the second person of the Godhead that did it. Now we come back to Proverbs 8. And we continue to look at what is said as wisdom prepares the world for man, as God exercises that attribute of wisdom in order to make life worth living. And we say make life worth living because Proverbs 8:31, rejoicing in the habitable part of his creation. I like that word, habitable. You can live there. You can inhabit it. Rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men. Wisdom delighted in making the earth habitable for man. It was all preparatory. God was exercising His wisdom as He prepared a place for us. That's what the creation was. God preparing a place for us to dwell physically. That's reminiscent of something else that John would record. John 14, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. I go to prepare a place for you. Of course, there Jesus describes Himself as preparing a place for us that would be spiritual and eternal. God exercised wisdom as He prepared a place for man to dwell physically. Proverbs 8. He's always exercised wisdom as He has prepared man's place of dwelling. So, we come to Proverbs 8:32. Wisdom's operation has been exhibited in the creation as God got everything ready for us to have ground on which to walk, water to drink, air to breathe, and life to live. And beauty to behold. Proverbs 8:32. So let's listen. Let's pay attention. If God exercised wisdom in order for us even to experience existence, let alone joy. Proverbs 8:32, now therefore hearken unto me, O ye children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Just listen to me. I just bring blessings. I'm not bringing you the sorrow or the pain. No, it's the abandonment of wisdom that has always led to the sorrow and pain. Now therefore hearken unto me, O ye children, blessed are they that keep my ways. Hear instruction. The word translated instruction can also be translated correction. And it indeed includes not only instructive discipline, but corrective discipline. Not only be willing to receive instruction in terms of letting wisdom tell you how to operate instead of flying by the seat of your pants, but let wisdom tell you when you've done it wrong. How many people like to hear that? You're doing it wrong. Even the words, do those words cause you to feel just a tinge of resentment in your spine? You're doing it wrong. Suppose I were to look you in the eye right now and say, hey, you're sitting in class wrong. All of a sudden, they're negatives, right? Wisdom says, be willing to hear instruction. Be willing to acknowledge that there's a right way and to learn it. And to be willing to accept that there's a wrong way, and if you've done it, to change. Hear instruction. From the one that was an attribute of God before ever the earth was. Hear instruction and be wise. Hear instruction, be willing to be guided and corrected, and you'll possess me. Don't refuse it. Blessed is the man that hears me. Blessed. There's a benefit. Blessed is the man that hears me. Wisdom does not speak as though she's a mere source of obligations. These are the rules you have to follow, and it's not necessarily for your own good, but you better do it or else there's going to be negatives. No. Blessed is the man that hears me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors. Blessed is the one that comes to the estate of wisdom and waits at the gate for wisdom to appear. Watches at the very entrance of the property for wisdom to come out and visit, to open the door. Watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors. For whoso findeth me findeth life and shall obtain favor of the Lord. He who desires God's favor and he who desires eternal life follows godly wisdom. Now, just like the existence of physical life was accomplished through the second person of the Godhead, all things were made by Him, without Him was not anything made that was made. Eternal life was accomplished through the second person of the Godhead. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have life. Or you think about the way Jesus worded it, John 10:10. I am come that they might have life, and have it more abundantly. The one who exercised wisdom in forming this world, the one who upholds all things by the word of His power, according to Hebrews 1:1 through 3, is the one who came into this physical existence and not only exercised wisdom by bringing it into reality, but exhibited it and exhorted it. Whoever finds me finds life. There's a sense in which Proverbs 8:35 can be a springboard to the entire study of the book of Ecclesiastes. Because the book of Ecclesiastes is a study of what's life all about. What makes life fulfilling? And it is very much true that the book of Ecclesiastes ends with the idea of, let's hear the conclusion of the matter. Fear God, keep His commandments, this is the whole of man. Does that sound like something wisdom has to say in the book of Proverbs? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is where it starts. When it comes down to the simplest answer, fulfillment in life is to be found in our relationship with God. But there's something else contained in the book of Ecclesiastes, something else that's alluded in Proverbs that is evident if we're familiar with it, but we'll pass right by it like a blade of grass on the side of the road without ever noticing if we're not familiar with it. And that's this. Let's leave Proverbs for just a moment and go to Ecclesiastes. Notice an observation that Solomon would make as it pertains to what makes life enjoyable and fulfilling, that is connected to a relationship with God, but it pertains to a perspective of why we do what we do. Ecclesiastes 3, picking up at verse 24. You might call this the physical, the material, the overall philosophical approach to life and work. And it's going to get repeated in this book. Ecclesiastes 3:24, there's nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink and make his soul enjoy good in his labor. Now, Solomon has already spent a good bit of time talking about labor. I said Ecclesiastes 3. That's Ecclesiastes 2:24. If you're looking for Ecclesiastes 3:24, you're going to need another Bible. There's not one. Ecclesiastes 2:24, there is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink, make his soul enjoy good in his labor. Oh, and by the way, this is a gift from God. Do what you love and love what you do. Do what you love and love what you do. Good luck getting parents to accept this as they try to prepare their children to be the best doctors they can be, or the greatest lawyers they can be, or to pursue whatever is going to be the most financially rewarding field they can pursue. And no, I don't care how much you love this activity or that activity, that's not going to pay the bills. We have to instill some responsibility when it comes to their pursuits. But we also have to accept that there's a fine balance, because the book that investigates the meaning of life exhorts this idea of do what you love and love what you do. Now that do what you love and love what you do needs to be in the way of righteousness. The hand of God is not going to give us a love for something that we ought not be doing. But verse 25 of Ecclesiastes 2, who can eat, or who else can hasten whereunto better more than I? I've had it all, he says. But verse 26, God gives to man what's good in his sight. Wisdom, knowledge, joy, all of these things. The sinner he gives travail. Oh, and to gather and heap up so that he can give to him that is good before God. Do what you love and love what you do, but don't pursue after that which is wicked, because that's just vanity and fruitless. Repeated in Ecclesiastes? Yes. Ecclesiastes 3:12. I know that there is no good in them but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life, and that every man should, hear these words, eat, drink, and enjoy the good of all his labor. It's a gift of God. Sounds like Ecclesiastes 2:24, doesn't it? Eat, drink, and enjoy the good of your labor. Just live and do what you love and love what you do. Ecclesiastes 3:22, wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works. Enjoy the work. Life's a journey, not a destination. Thank you, Steven Tyler and Aerosmith. That was a good line. Enjoy the work itself. I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that is his portion. Now, where else is it said? Try Ecclesiastes 5, beginning in verse 18. Here's what I've seen that's good and comely, for one to eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor that he takes under the sun, all the days of his life, which God gives him, for it's his portion. God's given this. Do what you love and love what you do. Ecclesiastes 5:19. Every man also to whom God has given riches and wealth, God's given these things and the power to use them. Rejoice in your labor. Ecclesiastes 5:20. Because they're not going to last. Enjoy life. And you're going to answer to God. A similar idea will be seen replicated in the book of Ecclesiastes, or at least referenced as you move through the other principles conveyed. Live for God. Let life be about a relationship with Him. The fear of the Lord is where it all begins. But also, if you want to know the abundant life, remember wisdom's words back in Proverbs 8:35. The one that finds me finds life and obtains favor of the Lord. Here's a gift from God. Do what you love and love what you do. Stop trying to be someone you're not. Stop trying to wear a mask. Stop trying to find life's fulfillment and getting the applause of those that are never going to give it. Stop trying to find fulfillment in the number of dollars in the bank account, the number of buildings built, the number of bridges built, or the number of bridges burned. Find a physical fulfillment by being able to identify what you enjoy. Do what you love and love what you do. A film that was released a few years ago depicts a character saying, you know, Daddy said to me when I was 10 years old, it's a blessed man that knows what he wants to do, because that man will never work a day in his life. Do what you love and love what you do. And let what you love and what you do be something that reflects the fact that you have a relationship with God. That is a more detailed description of how he who finds wisdom finds life and obtains favor of the Lord. But he that sins against me wrongs his own soul. All they that hate me, they that hate wisdom, they that hate instruction, those that don't want to be wise, those who already have it figured out, those fools that just want to utter all their minds, they don't love life. They don't appreciate what life's all about. They don't know what a fulfilling life is. And every day of their lives, all they are doing is dying. All they that hate me love death. Where do you find innocent, pure, righteous, wholesome, godly joy and fulfillment? Do what you love and love what you do. Proverbs 8. I think wisdom gives some pretty good advice. Hopefully we'll be wise enough to listen to it. Thank you for your time tonight.